Hey folk, welcome back. So for today's video, we're going to be ranking Ever After High ships for the second time. So I did this when I first watched the Monster High media for the first time, which is why I also did it with Ever After High, where I ranked Monster High ships, watched the media, and then re-ranked the ships to see how my opinions sort of changed after having all of the context. So we have done that again with Ever After High now. I did a video that was definitely going in like quite blind where I ranked these ships that you guys submitted to me. And now that I've seen all of the Ever After High media, I know the characters, I understand the story and all of that jazz, I'm going to be re-ranking the ships. Now, if that is like a little bit confusing to you, if you have no idea what I'm talking about when I say ships, it is short for like relationships. So within fandom, when you're talking about fictional characters, if you think that two characters should be in a romantic relationship together, you would say that you ship them and like that's a ship. So that's sort of the context, just in case anyone isn't familiar with like the sort of phantom terms there. But yeah, that's what we were going to be doing today. I'm very excited to take a look at this. I haven't really thought about it that much and I haven't looked at it since the last time I did the ship ranking. So it's going to be a lot of like blind reactions. So hopefully it should be quite fun. As with all my videos, of course, these are just my opinions. If I really dislike a pairing, you're absolutely free to love them. Like it's not a big deal. Just do please be respectful in the comments if you want to express any disagreement. But I think that's all we need to say. So let's go ahead and jump right on into the ranking. So before we jump into it, I am going to pop on screen an image of how I had ranked the ships previously, just so you sort of have like some concept of where I was thinking before. I am going to, at the end of the video, once we redo the ranking, kind of flip back and forth so you guys can see how it has changed. But that's like the baseline. That's where we were pre-watching the media. Now, of course, I am using Procreate like I do for all of my rankings, and we have the same tiers as before because like duh, that's the only fair way to do a comparison. So the tiers are OTP, which is one true pairing for those who might not be as familiar with these terms. That's like the cream of the crop, your number one, like the ship that you are willing to die for. Like that is the one that you have the strongest feelings about. Then we have I ship it, I see it, better as friends, and just no. So I don't really think that I added that many. I think I maybe added like one or two additional ships, but I think when I did my Monster High like ship rankings, I had a lot more that I wanted to put in for the second video that like I had stumbled across in the interim, and I really didn't have that this time. So this is going to be like a much closer to one-to-one comparison. So first off, we have Alistair Wonderland and Bunny Blanc, and I just like, it is there. I talked about this when I did my character-based ranking for Ever After High. I do feel like for both of them, but especially for Bunny, a key defining character trait is that they're in this sort of like will they, won't they, like they're friends, but there's some flirtation going on. Alistair gets to be like a little bit more adventurous. Bunny sort of tags along and doesn't really have, to me, that much personality in the like web series outside of having a crush on Alistair. But that being said, for it being such a like defining trait for, again, her, but like also both of them sort of, it really doesn't go literally anywhere. Like there's a webisode where it's like, ooh, like we need to get them to like be together, but it genuinely doesn't go anywhere. So because it does feel like they clearly have some sort of crush on each other, I'm gonna put it in I see it, but like I was honestly a little bit disappointed about the payoff for that one. I'm not going to lie. Oh gosh. Okay. Same thing could be said for this one. The darling and apple pairing. Listen, it's cute and I do like it. But again, I talked about this in my character ranking. I'm probably going to say that a lot. So I do apologize for like referencing it and also just being a little bit repetitive. But I thought, based off of what I had like just heard from being in the dog community and like sort of vaguely being aware of Ever After High, I knew that this was like a ship that people had. I knew that it was like a thing, that it's semi-canonical, and I was expecting so much more from it. Like I really thought that they were going to have so much more screen time together. So it is cute. I do think it's sweet, and again, it is somewhat canonical. Not that that matters. Like I don't care at all if a ship is canon, but like I do just want to highlight that specifically because this is clearly a lesbian ship, and like it does mean a little bit more for those things to be even somewhat canonized, right? But yeah, I feel like I can't put it in OTP because I didn't get that much content in the actual show. Like I didn't get everything I wanted. I definitely can see it. Do I want to put it in I see it or I ship it? I'm going to put it in I see it because I'm going to be honest, like I get where people are coming from. I think there is a good baseline there. again, there's like some canonical evidence for them being like people who are supposed to be together. But we really, again, don't see any of that on screen. And like they don't really interact that much on screen. So like I want to ship it. But all I can say at this point is that I see it. And I feel so awful saying that because I was so excited for this one. But like, what can you do? Okay, next up we have Daring and Rosabella, which I do feel a bit stronger about. I do feel like this one was pretty cute. It's really only present in Epic Winter. Like it is really just in one movie that this is even a thing. I mean, Rosabella, to be fair, wasn't introduced until pretty late in the series and everything like that. But I do think this is pretty sweet. They definitely play out like the sort of traditional Beauty and the Beast to a certain extent. Like there's not like kidnapping or anything like that, like not really imprisonment like in the original tale. But as far as she sort of helps Daring to become a better person and to realize that he doesn't need to be so selfish all the time, and like I think that's pretty cute, pretty cutesy. So I wouldn't say they're my OTP. I don't feel that strongly about it, but I did think that they were sweet together, and their interactions made me like Daring significantly more than I had the entire rest of the time I was watching the Ever After High media. So I'm going to pop them into I Ship It. Okay, Faybelle and Briar. Absolutely not. I'm sorry. It's mostly because I hated Faybelle so much. So it's like I can't do that because I found myself enjoying Briar more and more as I was watching the media. So like she's up there. I did like her character, especially her character growth. I thought was super. I don't feel like Faybelle really got the same character growth, if any character growth at all, if we're being 100% honest. Like I don't really feel like she grew that much. She is supposed to be an antagonist, and I was sort of thinking when I like saw this ship originally, like, ooh, maybe it's a sort of enemies to lovers situation, right? I just don't see it. I will say I don't despise it. Like I could understand why people would like this. So I'm going to put it in because I feel like Just Know is supposed to be sort of the antithesis of OTP, where it's like the ones that I really viscerally hate. So I wouldn't say that because I definitely don't feel that strongly about it. I just don't like it. Ooh, okay, this next one is interesting. So this is Daring and Lizzie. Also, side note, I am so sorry in advance if at any point I say Daring when I should be saying Darling or vice versa. Their names are so similar. Like it is hard to not accidentally slip into one or the other. So my apologies in advance if that happens. But yeah, we are looking at Daring and Lizzie, which I thought I was going to like a lot more. Because like going through this, there is one webisode exactly, literally one, where these two are interacting and being kind of cutesy, and like that's where the screenshot comes from and all of that. And when I got to that point, I was like, okay, this is probably the most I can like Daring, because I hated Daring up until that point. And that was like the most like a real human being he had acted thus far. Like when I saw that webisode, it was like, okay, this is the most he has ever been like not glued to his mirror. So I do kind of vibe with that. Like I feel like Lizzie is doing good things for him. And then we got Epic Winter, and Rosabella did the same thing, but like so much better. So I am like slightly biased because I like Lizzie better than I like Rosabella. She was more present also, so that, you know, doesn't help Rosabella. But within the context of being around Daring, I do think Rosabella's better for Daring. So I'm going to put this one and I see it because I was ready to be on board. But like, there, to me, is a better ship as an option. Okay, then we have Hunter and Ashlyn, and they are so cute together. I love these two so much that it kind of hurts. Like, they're just so unbelievably precious. The way that like they both are going through their struggles, one's a royal, one's a rebel, like there's a lot of destiny questions going on, but through it all they're like, yeah, we really are vibing with each other. Like we feel like this needs to come out on top somehow, some way. They're just both so supportive of each other, so kind, so wonderful. Like they're so stinking cute. It's not fair. They're gonna go up into OTP. Like I will say, generally speaking, I feel like I've probably said this before. I love ships. Like, I love getting to ship characters together. It is one of the like most enjoyable things about being in any fandom to me, about watching any show. Like, I love shipping. Okay, Ever After High didn't make me feel that shipping urge the same way that most shows do, which I did find interesting. So I don't feel as strongly about Ashlyn and Hunter as I do about OTPs from other franchises. But within the context of Ever After High, they're an absolutely peak couple. That brings us to Cedar and Cerise, and I don't see it. I'm so sorry. Like I just don't see anything romantic between these two. That is not to say I don't think that they would get along. I think as friends, very cute little friendship, but I just personally don't see anything more than that. So they're going in better as friends. Then Ginger and Darling. I don't like this one. Yeah, I'm not really vibing with this one, to be honest. I think both of these characters are characters that I sort of thought were going to have a bigger role in the story, especially Darling, but neither of them really did. Like, they have some role. I'm not trying to take that away from them, but like, you also could have the stories without them, especially Ginger. Like, Darling has a little bit more of a titular role. No offense to Ginger. It's just the way that she was written. She wasn't really utilized that much. And both of them together, like, they have one particular scene. Well, I guess it's technically more than one scene, but they have one movie that they like are interacting, and that's really it. And like, none of that gave me romantic tension, right? Like, none of that was me feeling like, ooh, maybe these two are kind of liking on each other. I don't get that at all. And to be honest, I can't even say better as friends, not because I think that they are or aren't better as friends. Like, I'm sure that they can have a lovely friendship, but I just don't like the ship. And do I know why? No, I just don't like the vibes of it. I can't explain this. So they're going to go down into eh. I really don't like. I feel like that's a thing within fandom culture. Like, there are just some ships that you see and there's nothing wrong with them. You just don't like them. And that's how I feel about that one. Okay, Cerise and Kitty is like kind of random, but also hold on. Hold on. I'm thinking myself into this one because Cerise obviously has this huge secret, right? Like, she's trying to stay under wraps, especially in the books. You see that, like, for a while, she doesn't talk to literally anyone because she's like anxious about her secret of her parentage being discovered. And then you have Kitty, who is probably the nosiest character possible in Ever After High, who loves causing mischief and trouble and playing pranks. So these two like have a very tenuous dynamic, you might say. Like, Cerise has something that she absolutely would not want Kitty to know, but Kitty would want to know it. And if Kitty knew, she would hold it over Cerise's head for sure. So like, okay, I'm realizing that as I say that, that sounds kind of toxic and bad, and like it is, but I kind of vibe with it. Okay, there is. I'm not gonna get on this rant. I actually feel extremely passionate about this subject, so I'm gonna lock in, try to rein it in, try to be very brief. There is a huge difference between fiction and reality, and there is a huge difference between liking something in fiction or fan fiction or whatever the case might be and finding it acceptable in the real world. In the real world, I would never, ever support a relationship that like involves one person sort of like holding something over the other person and like there's this weird power dynamic. Like, I would never support that in the real world. However, in fiction, sometimes a little bit of toxicity can be kind of fun to read about. And I do feel like this could be like a bit of a love-hate relationship. I've talked myself into it. I'm gonna put it in I ship it. I love it. And also pat myself on the back because that was a very succinct little tangent. I literally could talk about that subject, like the puritanic and that's the Puritan culture that is like in fandom spaces right now. I could talk about that for hours, but I managed to whittle it down to a few sentences. Good job. Okay, then we have Cerise and Daring. I have no idea where this one came from, and I literally cannot see these two even being friends. Like, he is so outgoing and full of himself, and like, yes, he has some character growth, but that's because of Rosabella, okay? Give her credit. She helped that man a lot. So at this point that this screenshot's taken, Daring's just like full of himself. And even beyond that, like, I feel like he's still, even after becoming more humble, would still have a bit of an ego, would definitely be more attached to Rosabella. Whereas Cerise strikes me as definitely more introverted. Again, she's got like a secret she's trying to keep. I don't know. I feel like these two would aggravate the hell out of each other, and not in like the fun, toxic way of Cerise and Kitty. I'm gonna put this into I'm not really vibing. Okay, then we have Justine and Ramona Badwolf, who I left in solely because I had ranked them in the original ship video. Neither of these characters has almost any screen time. Like, I genuinely think, if I'm recalling correctly, I know Ramona was in one webisode. I think Justine was also in one webisode. I know canonically they are roommates, but there's nothing to go off of. I barely know who these are as people. So I'm just going to kind of default them to better as friends, because if they're roommates and they haven't killed each other, they probably can be at least decently friendly. But I have nothing to go on, no way to possibly ship them, because I don't know who either of them are. Duchess and Poppy, listen, this is a good screenshot to convince you that, like, maybe there's something there, because, like, the expressions, I get it. However, there's nothing there. There's literally nothing there. And honestly, these two also sort of fall into that issue where I don't know that much about either of them. I know Poppy is glad she's not Rapunzel, or like the next Rapunzel. I know Duchess is like a bitter person. That's all I've got. So I'm not even going to put them in better as friends. I'm going to put them in just because I do feel like they don't have a basis for friendship. Like, they do sort of feel like they wouldn't get along as well. I don't know. I'm kind of just going off, again, vibes at this point. Okay, Blondie and Cupid. I think I said this before. This is cute for no reason. Like, genuinely, there is no reason for me to like this as much as I like it. It's just inexplicably kind of a cute situation, especially if we get Cupid away from being just obsessed with Dexter. Like, I need that to end. I didn't like that. I think we're gonna get to that at some point here. I didn't like that. This is cute though. I feel like they have similar personalities in the sense that I feel like they have like a similar level of social tolerance, if that makes sense. Not to say that you can't be in a relationship where like one person is more outgoing than the other, but I just feel like these two would be on the same page so much about like, ooh, let's go to this party. Like, Cupid wants to hang out and vibe and maybe get some gossip about like who might be into who, and Blondie's like, cool, I want to do news reporting of this, like, let's go, let's have fun. I feel like they would be so in sync, like the type of people who are in a romantic relationship, but they are also absolutely best friends. That's the vibes that I get from this. I can't explain it, and I know I'm being a little hypocritical. Ships are hard, okay? Like, half the time you do have to just go on vibes, okay? You can't always go on facts. I understand that these two realistically had a very limited set of interactions within the actual media, but in my brain, they're in love. So I'm going to put them in I ship it. Like, I know I've said, oh, these characters didn't interact that much, I can't ship it. Like, I get it. I know I'm contradicting myself. But it's just in the way that it makes me feel, and that makes me feel good. Okay, Raven and Dexter was so much cuter than I thought they were gonna be. Like, I did not anticipate liking this, mostly because based off of aesthetics, and specifically there's one like set of dolls that was them on their date, and it's so bad. That Dexter especially is genuinely just so atrocious. So like, with that in mind, I wasn't hoping for much. Watching them, they're so cute together, and especially reading some of the books, like their interactions are so precious, and they really truly meet each other on such like an equal level and an equal playing field, and it's just adorable. They're not quite as good as Hunter and Ashlyn to me, but they are definitely up there, so they also get to go into ship it. Like, they were so cute. Cupid and Dexter I despise. I think this is not the vibe. Um this is hard because I do think that as friends it's perfectly fine. So like, I should put it in there in a sense, but also I hate this. I hate this a lot. Both of them have better ships. Cupid should be with Blondie and Dexter should be with Raven, and the idea of them being together upsets me. And also, I do feel like so much of Cupid's potential in Ever After High, like, she's an interesting character, okay? She transferred from Monster High to Ever After High. Like, that in and of itself should have been her focus. If not, I said this in the character-based ranking, again, I know I'm referencing, she could have been a very interesting voice for some sort of very loose polyamory representation, because, like, Lord knows they weren't going to have actual polyamory representation. But that could have been interesting. Or she could have been like fun to have as like a single queen who's just really invested in other people's love lives. Obviously, I want her with Blondie. I'm just saying Cupid had so much potential. And instead her storyline was like she loves Dexter, but she knows that Dexter and Raven belong together. And even that, like that could have been such an interesting drama, such an interesting little love triangle. And it just didn't play out that way. Like it was there a little bit, but I needed it to be way more delved into and way more in depth for it to be an interesting love triangle. I don't like this. It's going in Just Snow. Let them be with their other partners. Hopper and Briar is also going straight into Just Snow, mostly because Hopper gave me not great vibes. Like not that he's the worst of the worst, just where he's at in the show. I just feel like he's kind of icky. That sounds so mean, but that's all I got. Like he does just feel kind of icky to me. I don't like that. We're putting him and Briar down to Just Snow. Maddie and Raven, no. I'm really sorry. I just cannot see them being romantically inclined. They are wonderful friends. I thought their friendship was so fun to see on screen, and y'all know I love Maddie. Maddie is my favorite character, hands down. Like she's just so fabulous. But I just don't see her and Raven ever being more than like absolutely best friends. So they're going in better as friends. Then we have Duchess and Sparrow. I didn't feel like I knew that much about Duchess, again, other than her being like sort of bitter and a vague antagonist. And I really didn't love Sparrow. He was quite annoying to me. I'm going to put this in just because I think my dislike of the ship is more from the dislike of the individual characters or my lack of knowledge on the individual characters than it is about the ship itself. So that saves them from bottom tier, but yeah, not as much of a vibe. Maddie and Kitty. Oh, gosh. How do I feel about this? I'm like trying to imagine how this would play out. Because like they're both very strong characters, you might say. Like Maddie is obviously extremely whimsical. She's usually smiling, like almost all the time smiling. She's bubbly and silly and fun. And Kitty is also a lot of that because they are both Wonderlandians. Like they have that in common. But she's a lot more mischievous than Maddie is. But like that could be kind of cute. Like just two silly, goofy gals. One of them maybe takes things a little bit further than the other. The other one maybe like sometimes cleans up her messes. I don't think I ship it, but I can definitely see it. Then we have Apple and Raven, and I don't want this to come across bad because like these are fictional characters. I don't care who you ship. Like if you guys love this ship, that is fabulous for you. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you have all the fan fiction you want to read. But I just don't see it. And I think this is more a case in my head of, oh, these are the two main characters and they have like sort of opposite feelings on a lot of issues. So it's like not enemies to lovers because they are friends, but it's like that sort of like opposites attract, I guess is probably a much better way to put it. And I just don't know that I think they would be shipped together if they weren't both main characters, if that makes sense. Like I think their main character status is sort of automatically going to mean that some people ship them. And again, that is fine if you do. I just cannot picture those two ever being anything other than friends. So better as friends it is. Oh, this one's hard. So this is Alistair and Chase. Don't mind me. I'm like cropping some stuff as we go because this is much too big a picture. But okay, I really wanted to like this solely for the fact that I do love me a good man-man ship. I think it's cute. I love that shit. Like in pretty much every fandom I'm in, there's like some sort of gay ship that I like. I just, where was it? Where was this? Did they even interact? I can't remember. But like if they did, it was extremely brief. I was introduced to the fact that Chase was a character from the first ship video because I'd never heard of him before that. And I was like, oh, I guess this is just a character I don't know. He must be pretty involved if people are shipping him with Alistair. He was in one movie and he didn't have a big presence in that movie. And to be fair, Alistair didn't even have a big presence, period. Like neither of these characters have a lot to go on. I want to like this so bad. Visually, they're adorable. I cannot honestly justify this, but I'm putting it and I see it. They are very like blank slates to me. Neither of them has a super strong character because again, neither of them was like utilized that much within the Ever After High media. So like they are sort of blank slates, and in this case, I feel like they're blank slates that I can make work. I understand they should be in better as friends at most because realistically they're very comparable to Ramona and Justine. I can't justify the things that I'm doing here. I'm just ranking them and I see it. Briar and Apple. Yeah, it's honestly very similar vibes to me as Maddie and Raven. I find it very difficult to pinpoint what it is that changes from like besties to besties who also kiss. Like I don't know what it is because there's got to be some specific trait that like changes that because you can be in a romantic relationship with someone who is also your best friend, right? Like I would even say that about me and Tony. Like he is my best friend. So I know that logically this should be an option. I don't know what it is that makes it feel like it isn't. Because to me, they are best friends. They are there for each other, always, eternally, but they are never going to kiss in my head. It's not going to happen. So for me, they're going in better as friends. Then we have Kitty, Lizzie, and Maddie as a throuple, like polyamorous situation. I don't know why that came out of my mouth like that. I'm going to say the same thing that I always say in one of these videos when a poly ship comes up. I have zero problem with people who practice polyamory as long as everyone involved is a consenting adult who like knows about all of the other people. That's fine. Like if everyone is on board, that is super duper for you in your life. I cannot be polyamorous. I only have monogamous feelings. And so it makes it hard for me to do poly ships just because I physically don't understand the emotions. Again, that is not to say there's anything wrong with that. It's just to say that me personally, I can't imagine it because it's not something that I'm capable of feeling. So no judgment to anyone who might like this ship, but for me, they're just better as friends. Then we have Cerise and Melody, and I straight up have no idea where this came from because Melody Pepper is barely a character. I could see where maybe people would like it because Melody definitely does strike me as more extroverted and Cerise strikes me as more introverted. So like there's a little bit of the maybe opposites attract going on there. But ultimately speaking, something about this I'm not loving. It's going an and I can't explain myself. And at this point, you guys shouldn't be expecting me to. Sparrow and Poppy, I don't know where this came from either. And I'm so sorry to anyone who might like this, but this has the most rancid vibes to me. Just no. Alrighty, then we have Darling and Lizzie, and this is another one where I'm just like, where are we getting this? Not in as bad a way as like Sparrow and Poppy. This doesn't have bad vibes. I just don't understand it. So we're going with better as friends. Then we have Duchess and Faybelle, and like, I think in my last ship video, I had said I could kind of like get where this was going because they're both sort of antagonists. And so it's like a little like evil love story. Having seen it though, Duchess is like a lot more of just a slight annoyance, and Faybelle is like more actively a villain. Definitely not to the same extent as like proper villains like the evil queen, but like that's what she's aspiring to, right? So she's like a tier above Duchess when it comes to her villainy. And I just can't. I just can't. I'm really sorry. It's going an because I don't know that I believe they would be friends either. Then we have Humphrey and Michelle. Neither of these characters had a lot of screen time. Did they interact? I genuinely can't recall. So if they did, it wasn't rememberable. That's not, I don't think that's the right word. I am like stumbling over my words and like making up words so much today. I don't know what's happening with my brain. Yeah, I can't justify this, and maybe I'm just a hater, but it's going in just no. You might notice that this is a relatively negative ranking that I'm partaking in. As much as I love ships, you might get this vibe from me because I'm the same way about dolls. Like the more I love a character, the pickier I am about their dolls, and I'm like, get them right. I want them to be perfect because I love them. I'm like that with ships too. So once I understand the media and like see the media, I feel very strongly about the ships I like, and then I feel like not great about the ships I don't. So I'm sorry if this is like a lot of me just shitting on stuff. I can't help the way my brain works. Like, I get very particular about these sorts of things, and I'm just not vibing. Then we have Faybelle and Farah. I aggressively do not ship this. However, I'm going to be ranking it in I see it because we have the good fairy and the evil fairy. Okay. There's no better example of a possible opposites attract or enemies to lovers, like whatever sort of trope you want to put that under. This is the example. They're both fairies. One's evil, one's good. Do I ship it? No. Also, Farah is like barely a character, but I can fully understand the appeal of this ship. So they're going up and I see it. Then we have Ashlyn and Briar, and no, I don't. I think I had a lot better opinions on this one before like seeing everything, but after watching them interact, they just to me are much better as friends. So that's where they're going. Then we have Jillian and Humphrey, and I believe my comments last time was that based off of the character designs alone, she looks like a high school English teacher who's a little too invested in the boys in her class. And I would like to report happily, as some of you did tell me, I no longer feel that way, having seen their personalities. So that's nice because that's not great, right? Like this is definitely a lot more palatable to me now. That being said, I still don't ship it, so it's going in but like it could be worse. Oh, we're almost done. I didn't even realize we were getting so close. Kitty and Alistair. You know what? Ooh, this could be like so. Ooh, not that I like want to hurt Bunny, okay? But like, imagine Bunny being into Alistair and Alistair's like kind of into Bunny, but maybe because, okay, again, I don't know that much about Bunny, okay? To be fair, she didn't get that much characterization, so it's not my fault that I'm like putting this on her. Maybe she's like less adventurous or gets like tired of the adventures and like wants to chill out a little bit more. Maybe he wants someone who's like a little bit more exciting. And so his eyes start to drift. And he's like, ooh, Kitty's kind of crazy. I I feel like I'm being so mean to Bunny, and I don't mean to be doing that, but like, listen. It would be a good story, okay? Again, this isn't the sort of thing that I'm like purporting or like supporting in real life, but it would be a good story. Yeah, I'm gonna put it and ship it. All of the kitty ships that I like are just a wee bit toxic. Oops. That brings us promptly to Chase and Darling, the Red Knight and the White Knight. I could see him having a vicious crush on her because he's like, holy shit, this girl is good with a sword. Like, I like the way she fights. I cannot ever see Darling giving him the time of day. This is one-sided. This is pining. This is all hurt, no comfort. I'm so glad the video's over because I'm getting more unhinged the longer this goes on. Yeah, I'm gonna say I see it simply because of that. Because I can see it in a scenario. Not a happy scenario for Chase, but I can see it, so that kind of counts. But yeah, this is the final ranking here, which if I recall, I think this is maybe a little bit more negative than the last one. I will, like I said earlier in the video, be like popping on screen the old and then the new rankings here so that you can kind of see how things have changed. But yeah, Ever After High just like didn't, I don't know why it was so different for me. I don't know why this particular like piece of media really didn't strike a chord with my inherent desire to ship fictional characters. Like, there are some franchises that I am just shipping people left and right. And honestly, that is a much more common occurrence than this. But I just didn't feel that strongly about most of the pairings presented here. And like, I didn't really have any extra pairings that popped into mind when I was watching. So still an excellent show, like still excellent media, still loved so many of the characters. If you saw the character ranking, that was quite positive. But when it comes to ships, I just don't feel that strongly about most of them. There are some that really pop off, but more so I just am kind of like, they're there. But yes, guys, that is all that I had to talk about today. All of the Ever After High ships that I wanted to rank. I really do love doing these sorts of videos where I get to sort of compare to my previous thoughts when I didn't have as much information, or even like, I know I did, because I'm kind of on an Ever After High kick if it wasn't immediately obvious. I did a video where I talked about dolls that I thought I had held too harsh an opinion for in the past, and like now I think that they're much better than I thought they were. I just think it's really fun to do these sort of comparison videos to like see how my feelings over time have changed. So I really enjoyed getting to do this. Obviously, I want to know your thoughts on the ships that we discussed today, and if there aren't, or not if there aren't. Again, I can't talk. I don't know what's happening. If there are any ships that I didn't include in this video that you feel strongly about, feel free to drop them in the comments, and I will also weigh in on those, because Lord knows I love giving my unsolicited opinions. Or I guess it would be solicited at that point. I love giving my opinions in any context. But that is going to be it for me for today, guys. I do hope you were able to enjoy the video. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or your night, whatever it might be, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.